Greetings, everyone. I'm Jed Shlackman, and I work as a holistic counselor, hypnotherapist, and energy healer. In this video, I'll be covering the topic of sleep and discussing sleep difficulties and insomnia. What are some of the causes or factors contributing to that, and what can be implemented to try to recover a healthy, more optimal sleeping pattern. So sleep is one thing about our life that's somewhat complex or mysterious. There are many aspects that play a role in our ability to fall and stay asleep and get that amount of rest that we need. There are different phases in our sleep cycle. So you have the REM sleep, you have a deep sleep, you have the segment of your sleep where you're just starting to drift off, and when you awaken. So it's about shifting your state or phase of consciousness, where during the day usually you're kind of focused and alert, you're active, you're using your senses to process what's going on in your environment and your surroundings. So you have that external focus of your consciousness. When you fall asleep, you're releasing your attachment to the external, allowing your consciousness to shift to connect with another layer of your consciousness, in a sense, another dimension of reality that's not this physical plane, this realm of physical form. And to do that, different things kind of have to synchronize or come together to enable that shift. If we're too stressed out or anxious, if our thinking mind is overactive, then it's hard for the nervous system to settle down, to allow our consciousness to disconnect from awareness of this physical plane, and we could have difficulty drifting to sleep. So there are multiple layers of factors that can contribute to insomnia and sleep difficulties. Some of them are very much psychological. So if you have things that are stressful on your mind, you're thinking too much about things, you're worried about the future, you're distressed about something that's just occurred, and your mind is trying to think things through and resolve them in some way, and it's not allowing things to just kind of be at rest, then your body isn't able to rest so much either. So the mental and emotional aspects certainly contribute to many sleep difficulties. There are also things in our external environment that can disturb or upset our sleep. Some of those have to do with light and sound. Obviously, if you have a lot of noise in your environment, then your nervous system is going to respond to that. And when your nervous system gets activated through those senses, it's hard to settle down and drift to sleep. Your brain is going to be in that more alert mode rather than settling down so you can drift off. So you want to obviously reduce the amount of noise in your surroundings if you want to fall asleep more easily. Light is another vital factor. We're designed to go through a circadian rhythm where usually during the daytime and daylight hours our body is more active and alert. We have more of certain hormones running through our body, things like cortisol and dopamine and serotonin. So we're more energized during the day because normally that's when we would be active. If you were a hunter-gatherer civilization or tribe, you would be out hunting or gathering food, and then you would be resting when it's nighttime. That's when you would sleep more. So we go through these different rhythms or cycles biologically, and if it's light outside, it's going to be harder to fall asleep. What's happening in our modern society is we have a lot of artificial light, especially now with LED lights. There are certain frequencies of light that we get overexposed to, particularly at the time when we would usually naturally be ready to rest and go to sleep. We have our mobile phones, we have street lights around us, we have lights on different devices that are in our homes, so that can create some extra stimulation of our nervous system that makes it more difficult to just relax and just drift into the sleep mode. One thing to be aware of in relation to sleep is that our brain is kind of shifting its wavelengths, its electrical activity. When we're very much alert and focused on our external environment and trying to think and solve problems and do all that type of daily activity, our brain is activating certain areas. Certain portions of the brain have more electrical activity, and our brain waves tend to be dominated more by the beta frequencies, which are in a certain range. They measure brain waves with hertz. So you have very low frequencies, which are the delta waves, and those are the ones that are most active in a sense when we're sleeping. So your brain is producing primarily delta waves when you're asleep. When you're not asleep, you'll have more of the wavelengths of theta, alpha, and beta, beta being the most alert state, alpha being kind of a more relaxed, creative type of state, intuitive. Theta is more of a deeper meditative state when your brain waves are more in that range. And as I said, delta relates more to the sleep state. There are ways people train their brain to shift from those different brainwave states. So if you use, for example, binaural sound beats, tones through headphones that are designed to train your brain to produce delta waves, that could be a tool to help you start to shift that nervous system activity and be able to sleep more quickly or easily. Meditation is actually a helpful practice, since that helps us slow down our thought processes, where we're not too preoccupied with our external environment, we're not so anxious about the future, we're not irritated or angry about the past. We're able to just kind of be present and let things start to settle down some. So practicing meditation can help your body be more ready to drift into that sleep state. Also, if we're able to get in some physical exercise during the day, that can help bring our hormone cycle into a better pattern or balance. So if we're able to get our body moving more and get our physical exercise in, give our muscles a chance to be stimulated, then at the optimal time for sleeping at night, let's say, your body has already been through that stimulation activation phase, and that triggers it to, in a sense, go in the opposite direction of wanting to let go and rest and release. So you go from being elevated in your energy to settling in your energy, where you can drift to sleep, where your body goes completely at rest, and that allows your nervous system to settle, and it allows your consciousness to shift into that other non-physical state of focus. Now, there are a variety of things on a more physical or biochemical level that can interfere with that nervous system relaxation. So anything that puts you into a stressed state or fight or flight type mode, and anything that creates inflammation in your body. So you could be reacting to some form of stress physically, such as an injury. You could be exposed to some type of toxicity, something that triggers an adrenaline response. It could be some food or beverage or drug that you've consumed. A lot of people notice that when they consume anything with caffeine later in the day, their nervous system isn't able to settle so well at night. So if we have something that's creating inflammation in our nervous system, and that could be toxins in our body, it could be infections. Sometimes you'll notice when you're sick with the flu or some other illness, it's difficult to fall asleep. Also, if you have mold toxicity or parasite infections, other things that tend to directly impact your nervous system, you may have difficulties with sleep. Dental issues and dental infections can definitely disturb the nervous system and be a cause of insomnia. So there are many physiological factors that can create that nervous system inflammation or activation that impair your sleep. There are many people who are using some type of medication or supplement to try to assist themselves in falling asleep. Sometimes that can have some use in the short term, but often if you're using it too much or too often, it ends up interfering with your body's own self-balancing mechanisms, or own self-regulation, its own production and regulation of different hormones and neurotransmitters. So it's ideal to get more to the kind of root causes of what's interfering with your nervous system and sleep, rather than continuing trying to compensate for that or override that with some type of medication or herb. So there are people that use things like chamomile or valerian or passion flower or hops, different herbal remedies to try to help themselves kind of relax or sedate. And I'm suggesting that if you do that too often, it's actually going to end up having kind of an opposite effect, where your body's going to have more difficulty just resting and drifting to sleep on its own. It can create a sort of dependency pattern. That can also happen for some people when they're using melatonin. Melatonin is a chemical, a hormone that's produced in our body that plays many different roles in our body. It's coming from the pineal gland, and it affects your brain and brain waves. It helps you go into a sleep state. It's also an antioxidant. It has antioxidant properties. It actually helps with preventing cancer. It has some valuable roles in the body, but our body is meant to produce it itself to regulate the level of melatonin in our body so that we have just what we need. And it's designed to produce that melatonin at certain times and other times of the day the body is actually needing to not have too much melatonin. You need to have serotonin, for example, during the waking hours to kind of boost your energy and your mood so you'll be active and getting things accomplished. And with a lot of melatonin, your body just wants to relax and rest and fall asleep. So the timing is important. So you might have a lot of stress or anxiety at a certain time and feel you need to take a little of that supplemental melatonin to get yourself to sleep. But if you keep doing that chronically, if you're doing it for weeks or months, then that could actually lead to an interference with your body's natural rhythm of guiding itself into the sleep state. So you might want to be cautious about relying too much on any type of supplement or sleep aid. First, address the other factors that might be affecting your sleep. Are you looking at your phone too much in the evening? Are you watching TV shows or movies that are kind of like overly stimulating, giving you too much emotional stimulation? Are you having too much lighting in your environment at night, especially the blue light? Is that affecting you? Are you eating too much processed food, things that have something in the food that's kind of stimulating your nervous system? So that could be caffeine, it could be things like MSG, flavorings in your food, aspartame or artificial sweeteners. So there are a variety of things that could be in the food you eat that stimulate your nervous system. You'd also want to be mindful to not be eating at all too late in the day. So if you're having food at midnight, then that's not allowing you to fully rest and digest at that time. So be mindful of your cycle of eating and sleeping and activity during the day. You want to find a healthy rhythm for yourself so that you're not kind of out of rhythm or out of sync with how your body would naturally want to maintain its levels of activity and rest. We need a balance. If we're overstimulating ourselves, then we're not able to go into that rest cycle perhaps when we need to. Sleep is something that affects many aspects of our health, both mentally and physically. So if your sleep is chronically disrupted, you're not going to have the normal ability to concentrate and focus during the day. So your thinking and cognitive ability may not be so clear. There have been many studies showing that sleep deprivation has a similar effect to alcohol intoxication in terms of cognitive impairment or our ability to react to things in our environment. Sleep also affects our metabolism, our insulin regulation. It affects our cortisol levels, so how much stress we're experiencing, our ability to think clearly and respond to social environments or social interactions. So if you're not sleeping well, it can affect your relationships, your job performance, and of course, if it's affecting your metabolism, that could lead to weight gain. It could lead to accumulation of toxins in your body, toxins in your nervous system as well. So eventually that's going to increase your risk of all kinds of disease states. It can suppress your immune system. So with any health challenges, you want to look at getting optimal sleep as something that's going to actually benefit your healing. And if you're not getting that much sleep, that's limiting your ability to heal or recover from various physical and mental health challenges. So I do encourage you to look at all the factors that are affecting your sleep, both your mental and emotional factors. How are you handling stress and processing things in your life? Are you able to let go and release things and accept there are things in life that you can't change, you can't control? You don't have to carry the burden of all the world's problems on your shoulders. You don't have to fix everything. You can accept that life is very much imperfect in a sense. We all have things that we might look back upon and wish we had done things differently, but we can't change the past, and we don't control the future so much as well, so we don't need to micromanage everything in our life or the world around us. We don't have to overthink in that regard. So if we can release some of that mental and emotional stress, it'll be easier to rest, to just be present with our body and settle and feel each breath kind of slowing our body down, bringing our body into that relaxation state. Even just focusing on your breath helps you let go of your mental stress. It helps you kind of ground yourself and just be present with your body and just feel that natural relaxation coming about. If you find that soft music or something that creates that relaxation response with your senses is helpful, you can implement those types of things. So whatever environment you find is relaxing to you can be beneficial for sleep. That can vary between different people. Some people find their bedroom the most relaxing place. Other people may associate their bedroom with something stressful, and so they might actually fall asleep more easily in some different environment. Some people sleep and rest very well when they're camping outdoors. They find nature soothing and relaxing, whereas for another person, the outdoors might be a trigger of some fear or anxiety they have, and they won't be able to sleep well in that outdoor environment. So it can certainly depend on our mental associations with things, what environment we find is relaxing. For some people, it's difficult to sleep because they associate sleeping or their sleep environment with some traumatic experience. One example is people that have been sexually molested at night, and there's a part of them, their subconscious mind, we could say, that feels a need to stay alert as a means of self-protection. So there's some part of their mind that's thinking if we can just stay awake and alert, no one's going to be able to come and molest us. So for them, sleep doesn't come so easily because letting go and drifting to sleep to them represents letting themselves be vulnerable, letting themselves be unprotected. So in that case, working on healing the psychological trauma, shifting that mental association so it can feel more safe and more okay for them to fall asleep will help them be able to more easily fall asleep. So we can address all these different factors that impact our sleep or our ability to relax and settle into sleep. There are different factors that are affecting different people. For some people it's more just emotional or mental factors. For other people it could be more of the physiological factors. They might have some type of pain or injury or some type of inflammation or infection in their body that's affecting the nervous system. So if you're dealing with any sleep challenges or insomnia, you can consider this whole spectrum of issues that may be relevant. Some things might be relevant for you that aren't relevant for another person, and vice versa. If you've been experiencing sleep issues or insomnia, I encourage you to consider that there is some source of hope, some resource or some solution in a sense that's going to help you. You may not have figured out or encountered yet what it is. In the meantime, accept that you are going through a challenge. You don't want to put too much pressure on yourself to get things fixed or resolved immediately. You can accept that it may be a process of trying out different resources or potential solutions. In the meantime, know you're just doing your best as you're coping with the situation you're in. You've made it to where you are in your life with whatever challenges you've been going through. So you can get through another day and the next day and the next day. And at some point, there is a good possibility that things will improve, that you may find some solution or resolution that will improve your sleep. For those that are interested in holistic health and wellness and looking for additional resources, I invite you to visit my website, phinsights.com. That's phinsights.com. For now, I want to wish everyone a wonderful day and a wonderful evening. Namaste.